What's up, gorgeous people? This is Amber's DIY and other stuff. I'm Amber, and yes, I'm filming this in my car. I am so extremely busy right now, guys. That's why I haven't been posting lately, because I've just been trying to do a lot of different things, but I really miss posting, and I have so many great ideas that I want to share with you guys. So I decided, while I'm sitting in the parking lot waiting to pick up my son, that I would go ahead and film this intro. Okay, guys, so in this video, we are going to do some fun ribbon trees. Now, I've showed you guys how to do this before, but I'm gonna show you a little bit of a different way to do it this time because I've improved my methods. So without further ado, let's jump into these fun DIYs. Okay, guys, so we're going to start with this 1.5 inch 15 feet candy stripe ribbon, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it into 5-inch strips. So once I have the entire roll of ribbon cut, I'm going to then take it and fold it over itself, and then I'm just going to staple it together. I really don't know how to explain that, but you guys can see what I'm doing. So I'm just taking each end, folding them over itself to make like a branch looking thing, and then I'm stapling them together. So I'm going to do that with the entire stack, and I did use 2 rolls for this particular tree. So the next thing we want to do is build a tree cone, and I'm going to do that with paper towel rolls. So I'm going to take 3 paper towel rolls, cut them long ways in half, and then I'm going to take my stapler and I'm going to staple each end. So I'm going to start at one end and then staple it, and then I'm going to flip it around, staple the other end, and then I'm going to take a long neck stapler to staple the rest of it. Now, if you don't have a long neck stapler, you could always tape it, glue it, whatever it is that you want to do, but I would suggest getting a long neck stapler. It just makes things a lot easier. So I'm going to do that with this third panel as well, staple each end, and then I'm going to go ahead and take my long neck stapler and staple it the rest of the way. So this just makes everything so much faster, guys, and it's a lot less expensive because you're not using a ton of glue like you normally would the other way I used to do it. So now that I have them all together, I'm just going to roll it into a cone shape. I really don't know how to explain this, but you guys can see what I'm doing. So just roll it until it looks like a cone to you, and then go ahead and take your glue gun and glue down that end there so that it stays in place. You could also tape it if you want to, but I just like to glue mine down. Okay, so the next thing I want to do, I want these to be a specific height because I am working on a budget here. So I want them to be 9 inches tall. So I want to be able to use 2 spools of those 1.5 inch by 15 feet ribbon to be able to make this, so it has to be 9 inches. I'm making these for my son's school Santa workshop, and I want to make these affordable for the kids to buy, so that's why I'm working on such a tight budget. So the next thing I want to do is take a piece of cardboard and then the cone, and I'm going to go ahead and just add some glue to the bottom of the cone, and then I'm going to plop it down on there. Now I plopped it over too far, as you can see I'm moving it over, and then I'm just going to go ahead and flood it into place. Now the reason why I flood it into place is to make sure that it's going to stay attached to this piece of cardboard, and this is the best way that I know to do it, best and easiest way. So once that's completely dry, go ahead and grab your scissors, and then you're going to just go ahead and cut this completely out. Now, I just have Fisker scissors, guys, and these worked perfect for this. I honestly, my hands didn't hurt, nothing. I've done a ton of these already, and my hands are just fine. So just go ahead and cut it down until it's flush with the cone. And you could use a good pair of scissors, but I'm just using a regular pair of Fisker scissors. These aren't cardboard specific scissors. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is take some of this red felt, and I'm going to glue it to the bottom of the cone because you don't want your buyers to know that you used cardboard and paper towel rolls. So the best way to do that is just hide it with a little bit of fabric. Fleece is very cheap. I think this is fleece. It's fleece or felt. Either one is extremely cheap. You can get it at Joann's. Now, I didn't cut enough off that first time, so these little pieces, I will use these in other projects, just saying. Didn't want you guys to think I was going to waste it. So anyways, I'm just going to go ahead and cut little slits into it to make it easy to fold around this cone. Then I'm just going to add some glue and continue gluing it around the cone. Now, the reason why I want it to flip over is because I don't want you to be able to see any part of the paper towel roll when I attach the ribbon. And this is what I found to be the best way to do that. So now that I have everything glued down into place, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut off any excess. See how I have a lot of overlap there? I'm going to go ahead and cut off all of that excess because you're not going to need it, and it's just going to cause unnecessary bulk within your tree. So this is going to give it a clean finished look, and you guys are going to see what I'm talking about here shortly, but it's definitely worth taking the time to do this step. So now that I have all that done, we're ready to attach our little ribbon pieces that we prepped. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit of glue, and then I'm just going to add a ribbon piece as close as I can to the bottom of the cone here. And then I'm just going to continue to go all the way around the cone, adding these little pieces into place. Guys, there's really no rhyme or reason. Just do whatever you think looks good. I just don't want you to get too caught up in how far are they spaced apart? How did you overlap? Just don't worry about it, guys. Just eyeball it and just do whatever it is that you think looks the best, okay? Because there's no wrong way to do it. It's your DIY. Do it however you think looks good. So once I have the first row completely in place here, I'm going to go ahead and flip it over to show you guys what it looks like. And I'm going to go ahead and attach the bottom part of the ribbon to the bottom part of the cone, just to make sure that you can't see any of that, the paper towel roll, okay? And I only do it with this bottom layer just to make sure that it's a nice clean finished look on the bottom, because I don't know about you, but when I buy something, I look it up and down, all around, you know what I mean? I just want to make sure that everything looks good before I buy it, especially since people are going to be buying these as gifts. I want to make sure that they have a nice clean finished look. So once I do that, I'm just going to continue adding ribbon all the way up, guys. And like I said, there's no rhyme or reason. I do put them very close together so that you can't see any part of the paper towel roll. And that's the only tip that I really can give you. Okay, so this is what it's looking like so far. Pretty darn good, and it's almost done. But we need a topper. So I'm going to take that ribbon spool that we used at the very beginning to unravel the ribbon from. And this is going to be what I'm going to use to make my topper. So I'm going to go ahead and cut down this first part to make it flush with the I don't know, I really can't call this a cone, but the cardboard part, you see what I'm doing, guys. I really can't explain it, but you see what I just did there, okay? Then I'm going to take some black felt and my glue gun, and I'm just going to glue this right down onto the felt. Guys, it is always easier to glue things right down onto something and then cut around it, rather than trying to cut it, like mark it and then cut a circle out and then try to fit the circle onto the space, if that makes sense. It's so much easier and much more accurate to do it this way. That is why I do it this way. And I do use my scraps, guys. I know these are tiny little scraps, but I do end up using them in other projects. There's no waste here. I'm just letting you guys know that. So then I just go ahead and cut a square the same size, because we have to do the top part. So I'm just sticking my scissors through this hole at the top part of this ribbon spool, just so that I can mark where the center part is. And I'm just going to cut, see how I'm cutting like little slits into this, just big enough so that I can slide it over top of the little spool here, so that I can do this top lid part. I hope all of that made sense to you guys. You could see what I'm doing. It is really kind of hard to explain, but I hope that you guys got all of that. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue that top part to the bottom of this, or the top, I don't know, whatever we're working with here, of the ribbon spool. Once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and cut off all of the excess. And I know that I'm really messy and sloppy with the glue here, guys, but I'm going to be adding something else to this. So that's not why I'm not super concerned about if you can see glue anywhere, because it's going to get covered up anyways in the end. Now, if this was just going to be a black hat and I wasn't going to add anything additional to it, no more embellishments or nothing like that, where it would cover up all these mistakes that I'm making with the glue, then I would take my time and worry about that. But I don't have to for this particular hat, because we're going to be adding some stuff to it, and I'll show you that here shortly. So now you're going to go ahead and take your fleece and just wrap it around the spool part of the spool. I don't even know if I'm explaining this right, you guys, but you can see what I'm doing. I don't know how to explain it. I've been out of the game for a while, y'all. I mean, I don't even know how to explain anything anymore. But anyways, you guys can see that I'm just making it so that I can glue the felt. Is this felt or fleece? I think this is fleece. I'm gluing the fleece down to the ribbon spool here all the way around. So once I get to the end of this, I'm going to just go ahead and cut off my excess. So I'm obviously just making sure everything's attached there, and then I'm just going to go ahead, cut off all of the excess, and then you're just going to need one more small piece for the very top part of the hat once you've cut all of that away. And then this is going to be pretty much done, but of course we're going to add something else, because I did tell you guys I'm going to add some embellishments to this so that you can't see all those glue mistakes that I was making. Like I said, I wasn't worried about it because I knew that I was going to be adding something else to this, so it wasn't a really big concern. So I'm going to go ahead and just, attach this top part and then cut around my excess, and then we're going to move on to the next part. Making our Christmas memories. Okay, guys, so now that I have that finished, I'm going to go ahead and take a 5/8 inch ribbon that is the same candy cane stripe, and I'm just going to add it to the bottom part of the hat here. Keeping people pleased,
But this is my favorite holiday. It's a chance to start over new. 'Cause I missed you, so I'm letting go of everything but you. These are the good times with you. Baby, this year it's just gonna be you and me.
Okay, now that I have that done, I'm going to take this Dr. Teal's Epsom salt, but you can use any cheap Epsom salt that you can find. Anything is fine. I think I got this at the Dollar Tree, so that's why I'm using this one. And I've used it several times. As you can see, it's got some little crumbs of other stuff in there, but it's not going to matter. Trust me. So I'm going to go ahead and take my hot glue gun here, and I'm just going to dip it into the Epsom salt to add the Epsom salt to the outer edge of the hat, and then I'm also going to do it on the top edge of the hat. And because I wanted this to be, I don't know, a little bit darker, I end up doing this 2 times. So I'm going to go ahead and dip it all the way around this time. I'm going to do the top part of the hat, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing over again, just to make it a little bit of a thicker looking snow.
House with Christmas lights, so you should come back home to me. And when we wake up in the morning, I'm gonna play those carols that you love. We'll be singing all the melodies until the sun comes up.
Okay, now that I have that done, I'm going to take a little bow that I made with this same 5/8 inch ribbon. I'm going to find my center here, and I'm just going to plop that bow down in the center. Now, I would probably embellish this more if it wasn't for the Santa's workshop at my son's school, but I want to try to keep these things affordable for the kids to be able to buy, so that's why I'm just going to stick with that embellishment and leave it at that. So now I'm going to take my scissors, and I'm going to cut a hole where that center hole was in the ribbon spool, and I'm just going to make it so that I can slide it over top of the tree here, and that is going to be my tree topper. So I'm just going to plop some glue down, plop the hat down, and boom! I am so done with this, and look at how stinking cute that is. Is that not adorable? So again, these are for my son's Santa's workshop at his school. So I have that one, and then I have this peppermint candy style one, which I thought was adorable as well. And then I also did one more in the same method, and I just added a bow at the top instead of the hat. I personally like the hat better, so that's why I went that route with the rest of them. So I'm going to show you guys one more. So I'm going to go ahead and take this 5/8 inch ribbon, and how long is it? 25 feet. I'm going to cut it into, I think it's just like 1.5 inches, guys. It's really small little strips, and then I'm just going to stick a dab of glue, and I'm just going to fold it in half this time. I'm not going to like fold it over itself, do the branch thing, none of that. We're going to do a little bit of a different method with this one because the ribbon is so small. This is a lot easier way to do this, and I wouldn't use staples on this one again because the ribbon is so small. This time we're going to take toilet paper rolls. We're going to cut them in half, okay? 3 toilet paper rolls, and then we're going to take them long ways, and we're going to do the exact same method. We're going to staple them, one at one end and then at the other end, and then I'm going to take my long neck stapler and staple it in the middle. And like I said before, you can always use tape and or glue if you don't have a long neck stapler. I prefer the long neck stapler method. It is just so much easier, and like I said, it's way more cost effective because staples are far cheaper than glue. All right. Now that I have all that done, I'm just going to fold it into the cone shape just like we did with the other one. I'm going to take the very end of that, add a little bit of glue that down into place. Now this one I don't have to measure, guys. I'm just going to totally eyeball it. So I'm just going to cut this down to size until it sits flush to the surface, if that makes sense, on the table. So it was a little wonky, so I went ahead, cut off a little bit more, and then it was perfect, okay? So then I'm going to do the same thing I did before and just add some glue to the bottom of it, put it on top of the cardboard, flood it into place, and then we're also going to do the same exact thing that I did before and cut it out, but I'm not going to show you guys that part because I think that part is very obvious. So I just added some white felt to the bottom of this one. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and glue these into place. And I just wanted to show you guys that it's much easier when you're working with smaller pieces to put the glue, like a line of glue onto the cone itself and then just glue each one down rather than putting the dab of glue on the ribbon and then adding it to the cone. I think that this way is much more easier and far more efficient than doing it the way that we did with the bigger style tree. So I'm just going to go ahead and add these all the way around the cone here. And after I have them all added to the cone, I'm going to show you that you're going to want to fluff these out as you go. So after you do a row, go ahead and like bend them up. This is wired ribbon, by the way. I guess I didn't mention that, but this is wired ribbon. You're going to want to bend each level up. So I'm going to go ahead, make sure this is all attached. Then I'm just going to take the ribbon and I'm going to bend it up so that it's getting fluffed out as you go. You'll trust me. You're going to love yourself for this and not doing it after the fact. That's what I did with the first one, and I found it much easier after doing another one, that it was just easier to fluff it as I went. So guys, this is what it looks like when it's done. I hope you guys enjoyed these DIYs and found some inspiration from this video, and I'll catch you in my next one.